Hey y'all, King Jeremy here. So here's part 7 of my Philippines journey video. Um, so now after we found a place to rent, we started settling in, buying all the things we needed. Life entered a really completely different phase. The excitement of arriving had worn off. The hotel was behind us. We had a place to live. Now came the part that nobody really talks about. That's the everyday part, the building part. So the next few months were not filled with, major events, okay? They were filled with small steps. And honestly, looking back at that time, those small steps were some of the most important because during that season, I was trying to build our home and a future at the same time. On one hand, we were focused on turning our rental home into a place that actually felt like our home, buying the things we needed, getting organized, figuring out our daily routine, learning the neighborhoods, learning where to shop that I could go to, and learning how daily life worked here in the Philippines. Now, it's the simple things that most people take for granted. Now, but at the same time, there was another challenge in the back of my mind every single day: work. So I moved all the way across the world, and now I had to figure out how I was going to provide for my family long term. I was applying for jobs, hundreds of them, looking for opportunities for work, sending applications, just trying to figure out what I could do and where I would fit. Now, if I'm being honest, there was a lot of moments where I felt like it was going nowhere. At the same time, I was working on digital marketing, affiliate marketing. Back then, I was putting in the effort, learning, trying things, watching videos, taking advice, doing this, doing that, doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do. But the results were not there, at least not yet. Now, that's the one thing that people don't always see when they look at someone years later. They see the outcome. They don't see months where it felt like nothing was happening. They felt the hopelessness, am I ever going to do this? Are we going to be on the street because I had no money? They don't see those applications that didn't go anywhere, the projects that didn't make any money, the ideas that I had that didn't work, the long days where you're trying to stay positive while wondering if you're headed in the right direction. There were definitely moments in those months where I questioned myself and what I was able to do. Now, that wasn't because I regretted moving here. I've never regretted that ever. But I wanted to succeed. I wanted to provide. I wanted to build something more meaningful than I had in America. And I wasn't seeing the progress that I actually hoped for. But what I've learned since then is that progress isn't always visible while you're living through it. Sometimes you're laying foundations, sometimes you're learning lessons, sometimes God is preparing you for opportunities that haven't arrived yet. Now, at the time, I felt like I was spinning my wheels. Looking back, I can see that I was actually developing some skills. I was getting experience, patience, persistence. I was learning how to keep moving forward even when there wasn't an immediate reward for my efforts. And honestly, that season taught me a lot about my faith. Not just faith in God, but faith that if I kept showing up, kept learning, kept trying, and kept putting one foot in front of the other, eventually things would start moving. Now, fast forward a couple of months. Okay, this is June of 2023. I had been applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs. Okay, nowhere, not getting interviews, nothing. My resume looked good. I was, talking with people about it, seeing if what they thought, how I needed to do it. I was updating my LinkedIn, my social media. Finally, as I'm applying for a job, I see a job for a customer success manager for a company called Wing Assistant. Great place to work. I actually did like being there. They hired me to be the first American customer success manager besides the founders when they first started, and they were going to pay me a reasonable salary here in the Philippines. Now, to be fair, because I was in the Philippines, they paid me as a Filipino worker in their avenue, which was 38,000 peso per month to work full time. Now, if you want to break that down in US dollars to the conversion rate today, that's $633 a month. Okay, it's not very much. It did increase after about 4 months when I was actually promoted to a senior customer success manager where I was making 43,000, which took it up to about $750 a month. Mind you, I was working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, and I was working graveyard shift while I was building this. During this time, my now wife, back then girlfriend, was looking for a job because she knew that we were needing a little bit of help because she wanted to be a part of it. And she had never had her own job before. here's the cool part. She was able to find a job as a cashier at a place called Maker, which is an appliance and store, like household store here in Zamboanga City. Now, to be fair, she was making 10,000 peso a month with deductions that the company was taking because of whatever quote unquote violations or infractions that they were receiving. So she would take home about 9,000 or 9,500 ish a month, but she was working 7 days a week, 10 plus hours a day, while I was working 40 hours a week and I was making 4 times as much. So the wage gap is definitely hard here for the Filipinos, and I've noticed that. Okay, now during that time, you just have to sometimes, life isn't about giant breakthroughs here, but that was one. It's actually surviving these quiet seasons and the seasons where nothing seems to be happening. Now, she worked that job for a couple of months, okay, and she did a great job. I was very proud of her. She was working all the time. We were doing things together as a household. I was working at night. I was taking care of the household duties as a husband would do, right? Because she's gone all the time, which is okay, perfectly fine. Come in July/August, we find out that she's pregnant with our son. At that time, I told her, I'm making approximately 4 times as much as you are by working half as much time. I think it would be better if you were to stay at home, less stress, work on the household stuff while I'm working full time. We'll budget and we'll be okay. Okay. In the next video, which I'm going to post here and after this one, because I don't want this one to be too long, I'll break down kind of the expenses that we had in our old rental versus what we have now in our newest rental, which we have lived in since February of 2025. Okay? Peace and blessings. Remember, I love you. Stay tuned.